Hey everyone, Hans here, hope everyone's doing well. Today I'm going to make a video in regards to the end of August 2021, when in most Western countries the summer vacation, the holiday season or what have you, for students is about to end. And I figure, well, what can I bring into the conversation before the year actually starts, so the school year that is. And I figure, well, how about surviving your teachers? I think that is a very important message that you give to children when you send them into school. And I can tell you why. We do know that anti-Whiteism is very prevalent in society today. That is not something I need to discuss. Not anyone, it's just there. Only fools discard it, I suppose, at this point. And of course, it is prevalent in schools because they need to teach the next generation how, well, how shall one put it? They need to they need to teach white children all the pathogens they can to perpetuate their horrific mindset, which is of course to hate on whites, no matter what. No matter the beauty we bring, no matter the empathy we have. Our empathy is actually the main, the main trait in us that they leech off from, because only empathic people can be convinced, I suppose, to be empathic with those that hurt them. You know, the Stockholm syndrome, although that is a terrible term. And we of course also know that gender dysphoria is being forced onto children, even by schools these days. You know, what is a mental illness is being taught to children. It's made socially acceptable in some places already, which is just horrific. And I am of the opinion that these people who partake in that should be accordingly held to account. But what would be a big step in the good direction, in the white positive direction, standing up for white well-being, is teaching your children or telling your children before they go to school, hey, there is something like anti-whiteism. You're gonna see it in school, and the biggest task that you're gonna have in school is not get big grades. It's gonna be to learn what anti-whiteism is and to filter it out, and then how to overcome it. Make it a challenge for, make it a true challenge for the children. That is one thing. That's step number one, I would argue. It begins there. Second, there are teachers there who have no business being a teacher in the first place. They may be cruel, whimsical, arbitrary, only there for a paycheck altogether, so bland and neutral. And they actually, unfortunately, are, from what I have seen, the majority of the teaching crowd. Of course, there are good teachers who live for, they have a passion for their subjects that they want to teach children. They want to do it justice as best to their abilities as possible. But you cannot use those people as the reason to do nothing. It's the opposite. You need to go to those kind of teachers and say, "Hey, please help me keep my children safe, if you will." I'm not out, you don't need to ask any heroics from them. Just ask for updates or whatever it's going to be. Right? No? I think that's a good move to make as well. And at the same time, these teachers that you just not knowing them, having no idea what they do in their personal lives, having no idea what politics they stand for, having no idea what religion they preach or practice, that needs to be a thing of the past. There needs to be really open honesty about that. That parents know what kind of man or woman is raising their children. The thing they should be doing, actually. What else? What else is there? Read what your children are being taught. Or if they're, these days you have still these classes that they can sit at home in the room. Well, why not just join class? And here is a big question for a lot of these parents who say, but I don't have time for that, or I don't want to do that. If you don't want to do it, for whichever reason, why does your child have to? To learn things? Well, congratulations. You're going to be enlightened. You're going to... Yeah, I'm going to lay it out to you. Give your children the material that you want them to learn. Math, languages, whatever it's going to be. And actually some practical stuff too. You don't need a school for that, Not really. And if you really are that bad of a teacher for your children, well, guess what? Find someone you know that may perhaps want to do it. There are these families out there who would happily take on more children out of the neighborhood to teach them right and to keep them safe from pathogens. There's another possibility what you can do. And as far as certain skills, let's say your son wants to become a mechanic, your daughter wants to become a seamstress, and you don't have the material in your home, well, guess what? You can. If you cannot buy it, if you cannot make it, what have you? Find people who can, find people who will, find people who can offer children to learn the skill sets they want to learn. It's actually what they used to do for the past entirety of our history, maybe. It's only in these last 100 or so years, it's only in this civilization in general, I would argue, that is to say, modernist civilization, where we get these rigid systems, where everyone just has to fall in line like a machine, like a little cog in a machine. It seems like something that they had in these 90s, 80s songs. Well, it was true. They just didn't know how to go about it, is my guess. There is a lot to learn from history too, I suppose, for those who don't know what to do. The ancestors had quite a few ways. And let's say, you just can't, you have to send your children to school, etc., etc. Okay. But then look at the first steps. And of course, the anti-whites of the world, they will try to go after homeschoolers. So if any homeschooler reads or hears this video, sees this video, I truly recommend that you start using the terms anti-white manipulation into homeschooling. That is something, well, how are they going to defend themselves against that? Think about it. Anti-whiteism exists, it is a true thing. It can be verified by what we see in the West today. On every level almost. And if keeping your children safe from that is something that the monsters of the world want to prevent, you call them out on it. Make it social debate and do it all over the place. Doesn't matter if you're French, if you're German, if you're Swedish, if you're Hungarian, if you're American, if you're a New Zealander, what have you. It does not matter there. What matters is that we keep our children safe. And actually, what about good memories? The value of good memories. In a society that cares about its children, and with that I mean those in control, if they would care about their children or the children of the population, schools would be the most secure, safest environs on the planet, if not in the country. Safer truly than where these people in control themselves huddle together and plot. But we all know that is just straight up the opposite. We hear more and more of predators being allowed in schools, even being part of adding things to the curriculum, causing gender dysphoria in children, downright, physical violence against them, the psychological abuse by children being taught that being themselves is somehow wrong, and that whatever they do, it always needs to end in surrendering to anti-whites. That is the most hideous thing, I believe, in society today. It's definitely up there. And I've never met anyone, not in my entire life, that said, "Oh, I loved going to school." They might say, well, I had a good day here and a good day there. Can you imagine that? About what? Let's say 15 years of that? Oh yeah, it was okay here, was okay there. Oh, that one teacher was pretty sweet. Yeah, all the rest was bullshit. Just wish I had never met them. Wish I was outside. Not even, yeah, and of course the big one, the what would you call that? Making our children groggy with chemicals so they can behave, as that is called these days. I think most of the people know what I'm talking about. Is that, imagine this, just let's play with this a little bit, with this thought. A child that is active, wants to do things with the world. Everything is new and interesting, and just wants to go places and have a good time and laugh, and I suppose cry a little too when they get an accident or whatever. Wants to explore. Is told that it is wrong, you child, for being a child, because you do not want to sit on a chair 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, listening to what is 90% hogwash that you will either have no use for or will forget by the time the next year comes along. Truly, only in my eyes, a sociopath could have come up with modernist schooling and thought that that would work, because it is devoid of all empathy, it is devoid of everything what being a child should be about. And as far as this planned, what shall one call it? This planned lifestyle, everything mapped out perfectly, it hurts children because it makes it more difficult for them to become independent. They're going to see everything they do in the rest of their lives through that tunnel, which is the schooling system, that your day should be cut up in from 9 to 5 you do whatever you're supposed to do, and you listen to your boss. That is just terrible. In my eyes it is. We're not meant to live like that. And if you want a better society, if you want to see your people healthy and joyous again, and a little bit boisterous, a little bit more mischievous, but in a good way, then you're gonna have to start there. It starts with looking after our children. I think most of us realize that well enough. I won't direct anything I say to those of a minor age, because this is for the adults. And with that I mean, if you're physically of the right age, well, I hope that you mentally have caught up as well with that. And that you're going to do what is more or less what a good family member or friend does for those who are younger. Just looking out for them. Allowing them to make the mistakes that perhaps they should make, but definitely prevent them from making mistakes that will leave lasting hurt onto the children, the youths. Have I covered it all? Not by a long shot. This is such a huge topic. But I think I've spoken to a lot that is helpful. And it is not just about your own children, it's about the children of your friends and your family. Work together, talk with people. And you will be able to be proud of yourself one day, if you do all this. And your children will, or the children will be in their 20s, their 30s someday, and you'll look at them and you'll be able to say, oh, look at how happy they are. They stayed away from drugs, that which was encouraged by the crushing depression or just the downright disorders that are being taught to children these days. He or she loves him or herself, loves others by extent, because you have to love yourself before you can love someone else. And guess what? The entire purpose of what schooling is supposed to be about, where you teach them things that they can use to be able to say they took what was useful and they dropped all the other crap. And even if they don't have a diploma, they are still capable. They are capable people who will get things done. Because let's face it, paperwork, it means, with every passing week, it means less and less. Any kind of paperwork, I believe. Or most of them at any rate. Especially diplomas. What the hell is that even about anymore? You have the correct paper, so we take you on. Well, what happened to, okay, we're gonna give you a trial period and just show what you're capable of. What happened to figuring out if someone is actually capable, rather than, oh, you have the paperwork, so okay, fine, we consider you. Rather than just, look at maybe that's example perhaps. Let's say a young boy, let's say 20 years old, has taught himself or has been taught by his family or maybe through school, became a mechanic. But he didn't get his diploma. But the boy can, just put a car together like you wouldn't believe. Is trying to invent new kinds of motors or what have you. And then be able to say to where he wants to work, you're like, hey, I'm able to make this. How stupid then is the guy who owns the business, the car business, the garage business, what have you, to say, yeah, you know what, you don't have the paperwork though, so I'm gonna let it be. You don't need to come here. I mean, there will be these people who are that silly. I'm gonna keep it polite, I suppose. But is that really also the society we want to give to our children? I figure no. I want a society where people can prove what they have done right, and if they can't physically prove it, then prove it in another way. By reputation, perhaps even. Why not? The ideal for me is that we actually, that's maybe also something I want to impart here. The ideal is that nobody should be ever out of the shouting distance of the home if they don't want to, while still doing whatever work it is they're doing. Rather work than a job. I make a distinction there. A job is something you don't want to do. I mean, that's also the whole purpose of schooling, so to say. Just get a job. Yeah, well, in a faltering economy, you're not gonna get that much out of it. So then, what is the purpose of a public school, anyways? But someone who is capable, who loves oneself, who has been taught all the right things and never had his childhood or her childhood wasted on sitting behind a desk listening to nonsense. I mean, to me, it already seems completely useless. Just something people do. I don't even know why. Yeah, that's You know what? Maybe I should leave it there. But if you want a better tomorrow, you have to start there. You have to start with the children. Anti-whites know this. We have to know it too. And once the anti-whites are being called out, it becomes very quickly a lot more difficult for them to impart pathogens in our children, thus making it, how shall one put it? Our children are usually a lot healthier than a lot of our adults are. If you realize that, maybe not yet. Pay attention. They're a lot happier, they're a lot more energetic, they have a lot more exploration in them. And if you then casually say, hey, and remember, there are people who want to hurt you for who you are, but you can still be a good man or good woman one day, because I'm gonna protect you from them. But you also will be taught to protect yourself and your friends that you'll make. And then just give it a generation, and things will get a lot better very quickly. I truly believe that. But again, we have to make it happen. It's that simple. Who knows? Yeah, it would be good, wouldn't it? Is there something else? Oh yeah. I'm certain that this whole nonsense with the muzzles, the face masks and all of that stuff, I have heard that in some schools in certain countries they're going to force children to keep wearing them. I would argue that is identity theft. It truly is. It's a form of identity theft because it silences someone. It covers their facial features, which is large part of one's identity. And anything else to that? Yeah, they're basically normalizing it to the young. That is to say, they're fooling our young into believing that this is how it's always been. It has not, and it never should. Teach this to your children, if you please. I don't even care if you truly believe that there is some enormous black plague going on right now or not. But at very minimum, have the decency to teach your children or children that no, this is not normal, it's abnormal, it is actually rather disgusting because you're not asked, you're told, and it's really just for the enjoyment of a bunch of power trippers at the end of the day. Not for anyone's health, because guess what? People have actually hurt themselves, have ended their own lives because they just couldn't take living, if that's what you can call it, anymore. But those deaths, of course, nobody mentions anything about that, right? That would be too uncomfortable, and it would perhaps confront a lot of the foolish in our society with their own foolery. And of course, these people, some of them will be decent enough to admit it to themselves, others will have the lack, they will be indecent and invoke even more hurt that way by keeping it around, by defending it. Which is, I suppose, kind of attached to the new school year. So yeah, if anyone has if anyone needs to know, if anyone has questions, leave them in the comments. And as you do so, yeah, if you need questions in regards to how can I verbally defend my child, or what is the sort of stuff I need to look out for, I don't have all the answers, but I do always like to help where I can. So, yeah, it's up to you. I'm also for the first time going to ask people, is like, if you really enjoy this, well, enjoy. That is the most terrible word, isn't it? There's nothing enjoyable about this topic. Not for me, at any rate. But if you think I bring some certain value in these conversations, if I bring up topics that make people think, I'm gonna have to start asking people if you would be so kind as to leave a like. I've never asked that before, but I want to experiment a bit, because in the last month, I'm gonna leave it there. If that's all you needed to know, you can shut off the video here. It's up to you. And I bid you a good day. For those who want to listen a bit more on a bit of a side topic, won't take long. I last month, for the entire month, my subscriber account was locked. It was just straight up locked. I was not given any notifications. There are no reasons that I would have this be invoked on me. But the trend on my channel is, in the beginning, it was 1 or 2 people a week that subscribed. And over the year, I mean, if you do the math, what is it again? Well, I have over 200 subscribers now, 205 subscribers, and my channel has been around for a full year, or a bit more now. So I guess if you want to do the math, you're welcome to do so, and see on average how many people I've garnered. That is, maybe make it a 10 months, because there have been months that, the account of my account has a certain lock on it, a quiet lock, if you will, a glitch lock by the anti-whites, and no more people joined. And I want to see if by people sending more likes, is that if my videos become more prevalent. Why is that important to me? I want to reach more people. That is, of course, something that's on my mind. I'm happy, if only one person listens, that's enough for me. But I get a lot of good comments. A lot of people are happy that I share what I share. It's something they usually haven't heard anywhere else before. And a lot of people have come to me and said, what you mentioned in your videos, some of that really helped me out in life. It gave me a new perspective. It gave me something to think about. And I know people who have actively changed their lives for the better by talking to me. Talking to me or listening to me, one of the two or both. And by extent, I suppose, if you agree with that, because I'm just asking you to click a button for now. That's all. It's really all it is. Because the more that people might hear what I have to say, the more people may, in turn, find that new perspective and do something useful with it. You don't know. I don't know. But it's worth trying. And the effort is limited, right? That is required. Yeah. You will have a good one, and bye-bye.